Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Most. Today I'm going to solve with you a common interview question in JavaScript. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So let's get started. So the question is to find how many functions in an object. So as you can see here, we have an object called languages, and it has here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties. And we want to find how many of these properties are functions. Obviously, we have only two functions. We have the get web languages and we have the get Android languages. So we want programmatically to find out how many functions in a given object. And in order to solve such a question, we first need to get these keys, because we don't know the keys of the given object. We only have an object, but we don't know the name of these keys, because the object could include hundreds of properties. And in order to get these keys, we can simply use the object dot keys function, keys, and we pass the object that we want to get its keys. So I'm going to pass languages, and I'm going to store the result inside a variable called keys. And let's now save console.log. Let's now just save and run so that I show you the structure of this keys variable. As you can see now, this keys variable is an array of keys. Just it will take the keys of an object and store them in an array. Now we can make use of this array and check the type of each of these keys. But how are we going to do so? Well, it's very simple. We need to loop through the array and get each key and pass it in the language or languages object and check the type of that key. Check that property. Is it an object, or is it a string or a function? And obviously we need to check if it's a function or not. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create a for loop here for, and if I equals to 0, and if I equals to 0, and if I is smaller than the keys dot length, we will increase I, and then inside what we need to do is to get the key, get key, and pass it in, or access languages lang object, and then check that key. So what I'm going to do is that here I'm going to first use the languages here, languages, and then I'm going to pass that key, which is going to be key or keys of I. So it's going to get the first key, which is web, pass it into the languages to access it, and then check the type of that key. So here we can simply say here type of the languages keys of I. If it's equal to a function, then here I should add if statement. If it's equal to a function, then at this point we want to store that key in a special array. Let's create here var res or result, which is an array of result. And each time we find a function, we store it in this array, result array. So here result dot push, and we pass that keys of I. And finally, we can just use the console again, console log, and we just print out the result. That is it. Let me just comment this out. And now if I save and run, as you can see, I'm going to get web languages and get Android languages. So we have two functions in this object, but we also need to get the number, not just the array itself. We need to get the number of functions. Actually, it's very simple. Instead of printing out the result, we can here print out the length, and we can say number of functions and then plus, and that's it. If I save and run, as you can see here, it's going to print out number of functions 2. So we have 2 functions in this object. But in interview questions, whether you answer this question on a whiteboard or online or on paper, you usually have to create a function and submit that function and show them that function. So function, I'm going to create a function that is going to display number of functions. And obviously it's going to take an object, and then I'm going to set around, I'm going to add all of this code inside this function. And finally, instead of using the console log, I'm going to return the result dot length. That's it. Or you can return this. You can return the complete. String instead, if you wish. You can return the string, and that's it. Let's now test this function by calling it. So I'm gonna just here below, what I'm gonna do is that I am going to, let me just push this inside the function so that I can close it. And now let's call the function here, display, let me just copy it and paste it here. And we pass the languages. And we also need to use the console.log, and that is it. If I save and run, as you can see, I'm gonna get also a number of functions too, because we have 2 functions. And I'm gonna show you that this function is correct if I add here a dummy function, a third function, comma, and then get all just a dummy function, and if I save and run, I'm gonna get 3. As you can see, now I'm gonna get 3 because now the number of functions inside this object are 3 functions: this, and this. So this is a common interview question when it comes to JavaScript jobs. So you need to create this code by yourself, practice a lot before you go to interviews, before you apply. And if you have any questions about this tutorial, leave them in the comments section below. This is Most. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.